How strong is Starfire? How tough is she? What is she capable of? As popular as Starfire is, you'd be surprised how many fans of hers draw blanks to these type of questions, which means it's up to me to make the definitive Starfire power and ability video to answer these questions once and for all. Let's start with Starfire's non-combat specific abilities, all of which come to her by way of her Tamaranian physiology, and the foundation for this is her ultraviolet radiation absorption. All Tamaranians possess the ability to absorb ultraviolet radiation through their skin. Doing this gives them enough energy to sustain themselves without needing to eat for several days, repairs cellular damage better than sleep ever could, and overall keeps their cells healthy enough to reduce the effects of aging, meaning that a Tamaranian could be several decades old or more by Earth years, but still look like they're just 20 years old. This absorption process also isn't exclusive to any particular form of light, and can even be siphoned from other power sources or beings that emit such energy, such as Kryptonians. Most notably though, ultraviolet radiation is what enables Starfire to be able to fly. She regularly engages in subsonic and supersonic speeds, making her more than fast enough to dust your average jet fighter. But that's on the low end for Kori. At the high end, she can even engage in interstellar travel and clear multiple solar systems and cross galaxies in a matter of minutes if not seconds. Also possible due to her Tamaranian physiology taking the place of oxygen, meaning she can breathe all on her own. I've never heard of someone breathing light before, but that's Tamaranians for you, I guess. Kori's Tamaranian physiology also gives her the ability of linguistic assimilation, which enables her to learn any spoken language or audible form of communication through physical touch alone. This can be any type of physical touch, but Kori prefers to kiss in order to learn new languages, just because it's more fun for her. Heightened Senses. Koriand'r's senses are all far beyond human capabilities, particularly her sight and hearing. Her hearing is so well that she can perfectly hear and make out sounds even while unconscious, and her sight is so good that she can see stars in the sky that are far beyond what a human could pick up. She also has superhuman levels of tactile sensibility and can even feel several biological functions occurring within her body, such as the breakdown of alcohol. Now we're getting into the real fun stuff, aka things she regularly uses in combat. Super strength. On the low end, Starfire regularly lifts several tons with ease, everything from cars and tanks to dinosaurs, or at least beings assuming the forms of dinosaurs. These are things she's been capable of, at least in part, since a very early age, as we see during many of her training sequences during her early adolescent years, where she's seen punching through walls of solid stone. She's also flown through battleships and cut them clean in two, and toppled monsters that were as tall as skyscrapers, meaning she has to be striking with several thousands of tons of force. She's even used her strength to slow down meteors headed straight for Earth, meaning she's not only pushing back against the immense weight of the meteor, but Earth's gravity as well, which is pulling down on the meteor. In terms of combat, her blows and strikes have been shown to be effective against the titans of myth, including Atlas, who was said to be close to Superman in terms of strength. When enraged, Koriand'r is damn near impossible to hold back. Once it took the combined strength of Donna Troy, the Amazonian, and Mon-El, a Kryptonian. For scale, Donna Troy has survived the detonation of planets. In other words, if your power level is anything under the planetary tier, don't even step in the ring with Kori. It's not gonna go good for you at all. Super speed. Kori's lower tier super speed feats include being able to dodge bullets at point blank range and the aforementioned outflying of jet planes. On foot, her speed far surpasses anything a human's capable of, although it doesn't really enter the realm of speedster. However, if she's using flight, it's a completely different story. Remember, Kori's capable of very fast interstellar flight. This means she's traveling at light speed. 1 light year is equal to 6 trillion miles. So as long as she's in the air, she can easily keep pace with the likes of Superboy, Supergirl, Donna Troy, and the speedster Jessie Quick. Speaking of Jessie Quick, Starfire's reaction time is fast enough to keep up with her in a fist fight. External durability. Due to her Tamaranian physiology and the tumultuous years she spent in slavery at the hands of Blackfire, Koriand'r has a very high pain tolerance. She's able to withstand physical and energy attacks. She's also immune to the effects of radiation. She's withstood the explosions of stars and even resisted being sucked into a black hole. She survived attacks from Martian Manhunter, multiple members of various Lantern Corps, Donna Troy, Wonder Woman, Superman, the new god Orion, and her sister Blackfire, both base form and enhanced, whose Starbolts are more powerful than Starfires. Her internal durability is impressive as well, as she is resistant or immune to sedatives and knockout gas, as well as mental and emotional manipulation. Combat Proficiency. What do I always call Starfire? Alien, warrior, hippie, princess. Starfire has been training in the ways of the warrior from a very young age due to Tamaran's own warrior culture, which includes a very strict and intense training regimen by the warlords of Okara, where she came of age. She is skilled with blades, blunt objects, and staffs, and possesses excellent marksmanship. She has highly proficient aim and a great knowledge of pressure points. Body heat manipulation. Starfire can raise her internal and external temperature at will to the point of melting metals with a mere touch, and is immune to freezing. And if all this wasn't impressive enough, Starfire also has what's often referred to as a berserker mode. When enraged, Starfire can go berserk, making her stronger and tougher than she is in her base state. And this brings us to the moment you all were waiting for. It's time to talk about Koriand'r's Starbolts. As a result of forced experimentation by the Scions, Starfire can expel her internal energy in the form of solar attacks known as Starbolts. These usually take the forms of beams of light that carry thermal and combustion energy, meaning they burn and blow stuff up. In the comics prior to the Cartoon Network cartoon, her Starbolts came in a variety of colors, mainly pink or magenta, as well as yellow, but also were sometimes colored dark orange and had more of a flame-like appearance. Notice I said flame-like, not literal flames. Looking at you, live-action Starfire. They would also usually come out as solid beams of light. When charging her Starbolts, they often emit a fiery, smoky effect, which has the same color as her Starbolts themselves, as if her hands were on fire. She can manipulate the shape of her Starbolts to create barriers and force fields, or make fine lasers and fire them from her individual fingers. The Cartoon Network version introduced her solid green Starbolts, which are more commonly used today. These are the ones that have the more bright, flickering green effect before firing, and could also be shot as orbs, beams, or lasers, just like her traditional Starbolts. She could also shoot them from her eyes. These Starbolts were also adapted into her DC AMU counterpart, and continue to be the dominant form her Starbolts take to this day, even in the comics. And as I hinted at just a minute ago, the live-action version of Starfire took a different route by giving her literal flame powers. She can shoot fireballs, streams of flames, and also use fire force fields. The power of Starfire's Starbolts varies between different eras of DC Comics, though some are more consistent than others. Regardless of this fact, her Starbolts have been consistently effective against members of the Green Lantern Corps, Raven in her demonic form, Brainiac 8, and Black Lantern Terra, who she straight up one-shot. They've staggered and knocked back Wonder Woman and Superman. Speaking of Wendy and Supes, Kori's gone up against them a couple times in the comics, which show her taking physical blows from them and getting back out to dish out some physical punishment of her own. Not enough to keep them down, of course, but this is Wonder Woman and Superman we're talking about. Being able to affect them at all is a feat all on its own. She also regularly uses Starbolts and fights with her sister Blackfire, who's able to produce much stronger Starbolts than Starfire. The Starbolts themselves have a range of several hundred miles at least without losing any power, and can level mountains even from several miles away. They're also equally as effective in outer space as they are within atmospheric planet conditions. By far, Starfire's most powerful attack is her Supernova, where she expends all of the energy she has stored up in one giant stellar explosion. This attack has been used to obliterate Darkseid's own spacecraft, and has even one-shot and enhanced Blackfire. When done on planetary surfaces, the explosive waves travel for several miles, destroying everything in their path. It's hard to tell how big the radius of this explosion is in space, but it at least looks to be about the same size as what it is on Earth. For good measure, I want to mention one additional form that Starfire had for a short amount of time, which greatly multiplies all of these attributes far beyond what she's even capable of in her Berserker mode, and that's her New God form. She assumed this form in the Justice League Odyssey series when she became a Herald of Darkseid. In this position, Starfire served as the spark to ignite a pocket universe called Sepulchre, or Sepulchre, which needed the energy equivalent of 5 hypernovas. Not supernovas, hypernovas. And whereas before she could withstand powerful blasts from Orion, in this form, she's more than a match for him. As of the recording of this video, Starfire's new god form is her peak. Editing Animane here with one more non-combat specific power, one that she showed off during an issue from the recent Out of the Shadows Titans arc. A mysterious blast had destroyed a huge chunk of Borneo, causing forest fires in the process. After putting out the fires, and later dealing with the demolition team who were rolling in, the Titans develop a plan with Swamp Thing to restore the destroyed lands. Swamp Thing gets the idea after Starfire touches his arm, causing flowers to bloom as they react to her ultraviolet energy. So Swamp Thing triggers growth in the plant life buried beneath the burnt soil. Beast Boy turns himself into several different kinds of insects and animals to fertilize the plants. And Starfire? Starfire flies up into the sky and begins to shine like Borneo's own personal sun, thus introducing a new application of her powers. Starfire has the ability to emit ultraviolet radiation out from her body, not as an attack or defensive measure, but more like a slow, gentle pulse of energy. Her release of energy, along with the collective efforts of Swamp Thing and the rest of the Titans, bring much needed green back to the area. This is years of forestation work done in a single day. I don't know how frequently she does stuff like this, or if she's even used this application of her powers before, but I really do hope it's something we see a lot more of in future issues. Now, as I wrap up, I do want to make one concession. Starfire is not an easy character to categorize in terms of raw power. Her capabilities tend to fluctuate depending on the specific continuity or even from writer to writer. Sometimes she's strong enough to trade blows with Superman, other times she's swatted away like a fly. Sometimes she can fly across several star systems without breaking a sweat. Other times the same distance of travel will knock her out for weeks. And yes, the same could be said on some level for just about any comic book character since it's all fiction, but I think the infrequency with which Starfire is used oftentimes adds to the issue. But even with this being the case, I hope this video will help people get a better understanding of who Starfire is and what she can do. Feel free to weigh in the comments and point out any feats that I may have overlooked or neglected to include. And if you want to get more of your Starfire fix, here's the next video you should check out. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep simping.